Good morning! How's your day? Now we will have an interesting story. But before I will tell you the story, let me first ask you a question. Do you feel worthless and useless sometimes? Or maybe you are a victim of self-centered attitude. Well, you are not alone because I can relate with you and I feel you. Because sometimes in my life, I am like that. Well, in this story, we will understand and we will be going to amaze how we are unique and we need to guard our thought about ourselves. May I invite you to listen carefully as I read the story, and I promise you, it will be a life-changing when we understand it. Before we go further with our discussion, we will first proceed to the unlocking of difficult words in the story. The first word in the story is arrive. The synonym of arrive is appear, and another one is accomplishments. The other term of accomplishment is success. Imperfection means defect, and another one is miserable or very unhappy. And perceive, what we feel. Ashamed is guilt. I hope you understand the words that I have been given for you to understand well the story that I will be going to read later on. We can now proceed to the short story that we are going to discuss today because we are done in unlocking the difficult words or unfamiliar words. The title of the story is The Crock Pot. Allow me to read this. An elderly Chinese woman had two large pots. Each pot hung on the ends of a pole which she carried across her neck. One of the pots had a crack in it while the other pot was perfect and always delivered a full portion of water. At the end of the long walks from the stream to the house, the crock pot arrived only half full. For a full 2 years, this went on daily, with the woman bringing home only 1.5 pots of water. Of course, the perfect pot was proud of its accomplishments. But the poor crock-pot was ashamed of its own imperfection, and miserable that it could only do half of what it had been made to. After 2 years of what it perceived to be bitter failure, it spoke to the woman one day by the stream. I am ashamed of myself because this crack in my side causes water to leak out all the way back to your house. The old woman smiled. Did you notice that there are flowers on your side of the pot, but not on the other pot's side? That's because I have always known about your flow. So I planted flower seeds on your side of the pot, and every day while we walk back, you water them. For 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate the table. Without being just the way you are, there would be this beauty to grace the house. We will now proceed to the elements of the story. The first element is character. If we say character, it is a person or animal or really anything personified. The character here in the story is the elderly Chinese woman. And the next element is exposition. If we say exposition, includes the introduction of the characters and some of their descriptions. It also tells where the story happened and the events that initially took place. The exposition in the story is The early Chinese woman had two large pots, each hung on the ends of a pole which she carried across her neck, and another one is the stream to the house. The next element is rising action. Rising action tells about the succeeding events prior to the earlier events that took place. It reveals more about the character and the problem is created. So the rising action here is for a full 2 years, this went on daily with the woman bringing home only 1.5 pots of water because the other pot was cracked. But the poor cracked pot was ashamed of its own imperfection and miserable that it could only do half of what it had been made to. The next is the climax. If we say climax, shows the result of the problem and what the characters did to solve it. This is the highest point of the story. So the climax here is the old woman smiled. Did you notice that there are flowers on your side of the path but not on the path side? That's because I have always known about your flow. So I planted, the climax here is, so I planted flower seeds on your side of the path, and every day while we walk back, you water them. The other element is the falling action. If we talk about falling action, it tells about the succeeding events following the climax. It shows the event that result from the actions that the characters made to solve the problem. The falling action in the story is for 2 years, I have been able to pick these beautiful flowers to decorate the table. And the next is the resolution. If we say resolution, it shows how the story concluded. The resolution here is there would be this beauty to grace the house. The last element of the story is the point of view. If we talk about point of view, that tells who the narrator of the story. The point of view here is second person. The most important here is the moral lesson of the story. The moral lesson in this story is we have our own unique flow, especially in skills, talent, and also in personality. We are different. We must think on the positive side also in our life, and we must keep on moving despite of the hardness in life. And especially, don't compare yourself to others because God created us in different uniqueness in our life. And especially, we are not able to do the other things that other can do. And the other people can't do what we do. So, don't think that you are useless and worthless because we are all worthy in the sight of God also. So that we have a reason to continue in our life to think a positive thoughts to have a better outcome in our daily living. Thank you for listening and God bless us all.